Dorian Yates versus Nick Walker. This should be a banger, as Mikey Strength and Fitness used to say. 1993, Dorian Yates versus 2025, Nick Walker. Pittsburgh Pro, obviously, for Nick Walker. Olympia for Dorian. Wow, a lot of you guys wanted to see this one, and we did get to see the first one, or Urs versus Martin Fitzwater. But I can't believe that you guys didn't get that Keon Pearson versus Michael Krizo up to at least 10%. Please go back to there and get that up to 10%. It's like Stallone said in Rocky 5. Please, he says. Anyway, back to the task at hand. 93. A lot of people say, oh, they were only such and such an amount of weight. There's no way they can compete with today's weight restrictions. There's no restrictions. Urs Kalaczynski, speaking of him, Kalaczynski, he's winning shows with a 90s type dimensions. But anyway, I thought it would be fun, as you can see here, to put these guys in the Olympia stage, 2024, last year's Olympia stage. Just for fun. Nothing to be taken too serious. Look at the size of Nick's arms compared to Dorian. Now that is to be taken serious. Dorian, good forearms on him, actually matching, maybe even beating Nick Walker. But the funny thing is, you look at Dorian's physique, and his arms don't look tiny. Nick's are huge. Look at the midsection. I apologize. Look at the midsection on Dorian Yates, winning on the physique. And if he is losing, it's not because he's too light, guys, gals, everybody that's thinking if you're 5'11" or nearly 6 feet tall, you have to be 300 pounds. I don't know. I think, like I always, or often anyway, I don't always say, the money's in the detail, just like Tom says. Now go to the front lat spread. First of all, I will say, this picture of Nick Walker, it's not from his mandatories. It's not, zoomed right in there. It's from the lineup, way panned back, or panned way back. Distorts the size. Nick would be bigger than this, I think. He'd be more detailed. You can't see anything. But it's a saving grace that Dorian Yates would run wild all over Nick Walker in the front lat spread. Pretty much anybody would be in trouble in this shot. Turn to the side. You'll have to excuse my photo shoot of Dorian Yates. The front double was a photo shoot too. But you know what? I think it's a better representation of this man. And from the side, I have to say, that is where the thickness goes. These guys today, you turn them to the side and they're big blockade men. They're big giant, what would you call those things? I don't know. If I think of it, I'll tell you later. Gosh darn it. He's big, Nick Walker. Wheels as well. I'd give him this shot. I don't know if I'd give him that front double, but maybe. But he's definitely losing that front lat spread. Now here's the side tricep. I'll make a little excuse here for Nick Walker again, much like the front lat spread. I think this is a pan back picture. It's not zoomed right in there like when he was doing his mandatory shots. So it's not the best angle either, to tell you the truth. But much like the front lat spread, this is Dorian Yates's, I hate to say this for you fellers dieting, but it's his bread and butter. Oh, could you imagine? A little bit of cinnamon on there, toast, butter. Anyway, I don't know if the size is distorted on this side tricep. I think the camera is very low. I actually I put some feet in there. But his calves were ginormous in this picture. Like I said, I think it is angled a little bit different. But having said that, wow, what a good pose for Dorian Yates. Beating Nick Walker, and Nick is no slouch in this shot, in this pose, as I should say. Now go to the back. And I just realized I forgot my screen thingy that goes over your microphone. The pop filter. I looked it up. But yes, the width of Nick's back is unreal. Wider than Dorian Yates. course, the footage, Yates is tilted a little bit, and that affects the whole package. In terms of actually trying to judge this one, Yates, he has underrated glutes. I think 1993, he was a little bit more shredded. Some of you 95 fans will get upset about that, or 96, he was pretty shredded too, but I see more glutes in this version here. Lower back, even the upper back, the traps, he is getting an edge over Nick Walker. It's just the lats themselves where Nick is winning, and let's face it, that's an important part of the back, right? Well, I would suggest so. Nick has that hard graininess. I would like to see Dorian Yates say that this man is 6 weeks out or 8 weeks out, whatever he said about Brandon Curry. I don't think so, Yates. Right there with you, I think. Of course, when you look at the traps, delts, and the calves, if you do look at calves, Yates is winning on all those aspects, so close. I say it is close. Go to the rear lat. Same thing here. Nick is just plain wider. Look at the outer lats. Dorian's seem to be more, pleasing to the eye. It's a perfectly straight V. Nick's is a V too, but look at the center of the lats themselves. Little bit of a concave for Nick, and I noticed that a few years back. Maybe he tore a muscle. Hard to say. Hard to really suggest. Of course, worth to mention, Dorian Yates' lats were unsymmetrical in the rear double, so you could, if you're going to put that in about Nick's back, I should have put that in about Dorian's back. Traps, again, it was no mistake. It was no photo error. He has massive big traps. Look at that. Something that your Dorian Yates and your Ronnie King Coleman really separates those two guys from any competitor. Of course, Phil Heath had some big traps too, but not on the top. Not on the top. Those guys were mountainous. Their genetics are changing. Maybe if you went back far enough, when we didn't have pictures to be able to prove this stuff, maybe there was big giant men that were just born with testosterone levels just through the roof. You're born, you're out hunting. Killed a deer this morning. You killed a deer. Imagine what that would do to your system. Anybody listening to me out there? Well, I hope so. And I thank you for doing that as well. So, very close, I think, in both back shots. Yates not showing his hamstrings and glutes as much as he could be, I don't think. Here's the abs and thigh. An easy win for Yates. And don't give me this stuff. Oh, his legs aren't good enough, striated enough. I don't play that game anymore. If it looks good, if he is conditioned enough, he doesn't have to match everybody on everything else. If you're saying, oh, well, Nick, he's more striated in the quads. Well, look at the midsections. Dorian's beating him just as much. He's beating up on him on that aspect just as much or more than the quads. So don't you give me that stuff about striations in the quads. Dorian, he did have some big teardrops, though, and he throws those calves in there. Kevin Levrone says, and Kevin had some decent calves, but they would run and hide when they seen Dorian throwing them calves. Makes everybody else just look like pirates with two wooden legs. Is that not proper? My editor's shaking his head like I shouldn't have said that. Go to the most muscular. And I can almost hear you guys now. But Mark's Max Muscle, you're an old poop. Listen, for those of you who are thinking, but the mandatories did not include the most muscular back in 93. Well, no, it didn't. It didn't until 2004. But it wouldn't make a difference, would it? One pose? I mean, Yates, he wasn't losing any more Olympia, or he wasn't losing any Olympias just because they would have added this most muscular in there. It's about condition, balance, and who am I kidding? Yates is losing the most muscular. Not the best shot for him. It was weird. Kind of like Kai Green. That's another guy, Kai Green, 2012. Could he beat Dorian Yates? There's a lot of guys that could beat Dorian Yates, I think, given the right formula. But Nick Walker, little bit of a midsection on him. His thing is condition. Yates is condition. So Yates kind of matches him on a lot of poses. Lower half, could be a different story. Absolutely. Today's stage, I honestly don't know which way they would go. I'm kind of leaning towards Dorian Yates, but I think it is definitely, most certainly, up to some debate. If you say Nick Walker, well, I'm not going to call you foolish. I just like the aesthetics. I think if he was a little more aesthetically pleasing, he'd be meeting Dorian halfway on that aspect. But it's just, he's winning the front lat spread. He's winning the side tricep. Both back shots were close. They were. Dorian hands down winning the abs and thigh as well. Side chest, Nick. Front double, undecided. Most muscular, Nick Walker. Let me know. Who do you guys have winning? Nick Walker, 2025? Pittsburgh? Or Dorian Yates, 1993, Mr. Olympia? And little bit of a station identification here. Have a look, if you will, at my current subscriber count. 56,132 of you fine folks decided to help me out by subscribing to my channel. And I don't like to get, sappy or sentimental, things of that nature. But I thank you all. And some of you guys I'm even friends with. So, friendships, that's worth more than a mountain of gold, because it is in fact a treasure that can't be bought or sold. Hit thumbs up, subscribe. Have a nice one.